The strawberries caught her eye first, bright red and glistening in the morning sun, and Petra Daniels reached for the ripest container just as another hand closed over the same one. "Sorry," she said quickly, pulling back. "No, please, take it." The man's voice was warm, and when Petra looked up, she found herself meeting surprisingly kind brown eyes. He wore a simple navy Henley and jeans, his dark hair slightly tousled like he had just rolled out of bed. Nothing about him screamed wealth or power. He looked like any other person enjoying their Saturday morning at the farmer's market. "We can share the basket," Petra offered with a smile. "You take the strawberries, I'll find another. Only if you let me buy you a coffee to make up for almost stealing your breakfast." He gestured toward the small cafe stand at the corner of the market, where the scent of fresh espresso drifted through the air. Petra hesitated for only a moment. There was something genuine in his expression, no hint of anything but friendly interest. "All right, but only because I desperately need caffeine." "Aaron Vaughn," he said, extending his hand. "Petra Daniels." His handshake was firm, confident without being aggressive. They walked together toward the cafe, and Petra found herself relaxing in his presence. Aaron asked about her favorite vendors at the market, and she pointed out the honey stand that sold lavender-infused varieties and the baker who made the most incredible sourdough. "You come here often?" Aaron asked as they waited in line. "Every Saturday when I can. It's my escape from the week." Petra worked as a middle school art teacher and her weekends were sacred. First time actually," Aaron admitted. "My assistant keeps telling me I need to get out more, experience normal things. Apparently I've been working too much." "What do you do?" "Business consulting," he said smoothly. Not technically a lie, Petra would learn much later. Aaron Vaughn owned one of the largest renewable energy companies in the country. But standing there in the morning sun with flour dust on his jeans from brushing against the baker's table, he just seemed like a regular guy trying to figure out which coffee to order. They ended up spending 3 hours wandering through the market together. Aaron bought fresh vegetables he clearly had no idea how to prepare, asking Petra's advice on everything from how to tell if an avocado was ripe to whether he really needed organic eggs. "You really don't cook much, do you?" Petra teased as he examined a butternut squash like it was an alien artifact. "I have people who do that," Aaron said, then caught himself. "I mean, I'm usually eating out, work dinners, that kind of thing." Petra helped him select ingredients for a simple pasta dish, writing down instructions on a napkin from the cafe. Her handwriting was messy but charming, little drawings of tomatoes and basil leaves in the margins. "You're an artist," Aaron observed. "Art teacher, close enough," she grinned. "I try to keep the creativity alive, even if it's just doodling on grocery lists." When they finally parted ways, Aaron with bags full of produce he wasn't sure he could identify and Petra with her usual selections plus a bouquet of sunflowers, Aaron had insisted on buying her. They exchanged numbers. "I'll need to text you when I inevitably burn the pasta," Aaron said. "I'll expect photos of the disaster," Petra replied. She didn't expect to hear from him that evening, but her phone buzzed at 7 with a picture of an actually decent-looking bowl of pasta primavera. "Beginner's luck," Aaron's text read, followed by another message. "Or maybe I had a good teacher." They texted throughout the week, easy conversations that flowed from favorite movies to childhood memories. Aaron asked about her students, and Petra found herself telling him about the shy 7th grader who had just discovered watercolors and the troublemaker who actually had incredible talent when he focused. "You really love what you do," Aaron texted one night. "Don't you love your work?" Petra asked. There was a long pause before his response. "I used to. Lately it feels more like obligation than passion." "Then maybe it's time for a change," Petra wrote back. "Maybe you're right." Their second meeting was intentional. Aaron asked her to dinner at a small Italian restaurant in her neighborhood, nothing fancy but with incredible food and a cozy atmosphere. He showed up in slacks and a button-down, and Petra wore a simple green dress that brought out her eyes. "You look beautiful," Aaron said, and the way he looked at her made Petra's heart skip. Dinner stretched into dessert, then coffee, then a walk through the nearby park even though it was getting late. They talked about everything and nothing. Aaron told her about growing up with a single mother who worked 2 jobs to keep him in school, how he had put himself through college and business school. He mentioned starting his own company but kept the details vague, and Petra didn't push. She shared her own story of growing up in a house full of chaos with 4 siblings, how art had been her refuge and eventually her calling. "Do you want kids?" Aaron asked suddenly, then looked embarrassed. "Sorry, that's probably too forward for a first date." "It's fine," Petra laughed. "And yes, someday. 2 or 3, I think. I love the energy of a full house." "I want that too," Aaron said quietly. "The family I didn't really get to have growing up." They stood under a street lamp and Aaron reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind Petra's ear. The gesture was tender, intimate in a way that made Petra's breath catch. "Can I see you again?" Aaron asked. "Tomorrow," Petra suggested, surprising herself with her boldness. "Tomorrow," Aaron agreed, smiling. They fell into a pattern over the next few weeks. Aaron would finish work, though Petra still wasn't entirely sure what that work entailed, and meet her at her apartment. Sometimes they cooked together, Aaron improving steadily under her patient guidance. Other times they explored the city, finding hole-in-the-wall restaurants and street art that made Petra's artist heart sing. Aaron was different from anyone Petra had dated before. He was attentive without being smothering, generous without being flashy. When her car broke down, he arranged for it to be towed and repaired, dismissing her protests about the cost. "Let me help," he said simply. "I want to make your life easier, not harder." But there were moments when Petra caught glimpses of another life. The way Aaron's phone would ring with calls from people whose names sounded important. The time a man in a suit had approached them at a cafe, calling Aaron Mr. Vaughn and discussing something about a merger before Aaron firmly but politely sent him away. "Who was that?" Petra asked. "Someone from work. It's not important." Aaron squeezed her hand. "You're what's important." A month into their relationship, Petra's best friend Maya pulled her aside at a girls' night. "Have you Googled him?" Maya asked bluntly. "What? No, why would I?" "Petra, come on. A guy who can afford to fix your car without blinking, who always picks up the check, who clearly has money but claims to be a consultant. You need to know who you're dating." "I know who I'm dating. Aaron is kind and thoughtful and makes me laugh. Just Google him, please, for my peace of mind." That night, alone in her apartment, Petra gave in to curiosity. She typed Aaron Vaughn into the search bar and felt her stomach drop as the results loaded. Article after article appeared, Forbes profiles, business magazine covers. News stories about his company, Vaughn Renewable Energy, and its groundbreaking work in solar technology. Aaron wasn't just wealthy, he was a billionaire. One of the youngest in the country. Petra stared at a photo of Aaron in a tailored suit, standing in front of a skyscraper with his name on it. He looked different, harder somehow, the easy smile she knew absent from his face. Her phone buzzed. A text from Aaron, "Missing you. Dinner tomorrow." Petra set the phone down without responding, her mind racing. Why hadn't he told her? What else was he hiding? She didn't sleep well that night, and when Aaron arrived at her door the next evening with takeout from her favorite Thai place, she couldn't quite meet his eyes. "What's wrong?" Aaron asked immediately, setting the food aside. "Why didn't you tell me?" Petra's voice was steadier than she felt. "Tell you what? About who you are, what you do. The fact that you're a billionaire with a company worth more than I'll make in 10 lifetimes. Aaron's face fell. "You Googled me," my friend pushed me to, and she was right to. "Aaron, you lied to me." "I didn't lie," Aaron protested. "I just didn't tell you everything." "That's the same thing." Petra felt tears prick her eyes. "Did you think I wouldn't find out, or were you just enjoying playing normal guy with the simple art teacher?" "No, God, no." Aaron ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. "Petra, please listen. I didn't tell you because for the first time in years, someone was looking at me like I was just a person. Not a bank account, not a business opportunity, just me. But that's not just you, Petra said. This huge part of your life, your identity, you kept it from me. Because every time I tell someone, everything changes. They start acting different, wanting different things. I liked how we were together. I liked that you'd split the check at coffee shops and tell me no when I tried to buy you expensive gifts. I liked being Aaron, not Aaron Vaughn, CEO. Petra sank onto her couch, her anger deflating into confusion. I don't know how to process this. Aaron sat beside her, careful to leave space between them. I know, and I'm sorry, I should have told you sooner. I was going to, I just kept finding excuses, not to because I was scared of losing you. I need time to think, Petra said quietly. Aaron nodded, standing. Take all the time you need, I'll be here when you're ready to talk. After he left, Petra let herself cry, overwhelmed by the revelation. She had fallen for Aaron, deeply and completely. But could she trust him now? What kind of relationship could they have when their worlds were so vastly different 3 days past? Petra threw herself into her teaching, staying late to work on lesson plans and help students with projects. But at night alone, she missed Aaron with an ache that surprised her with its intensity. On the 4th day, Maya came over with wine and pizza. Talk to me, Maya said, settling on the floor of Petra's living room. I don't know what to do, Petra admitted. He lied by omission, which is still lying, but I also understand why he did it. Do you love him? The question hung in the air. Yes, Petra whispered, I think I do. Then you need to figure out if you can accept all of him. Not just the guy at the farmer's market, but the billionaire too. Because they're the same person, babe. That night, Petra finally responded to Aaron's texts. Can we talk? My place tomorrow evening. He arrived exactly on time, looking nervous in a way that made Petra's heart soften. They sat at her small kitchen table and Petra had coffee ready, made the way Aaron liked it. I've been thinking a lot, Petra began. About what you said, about why you didn't tell me, and I get it, I do. But Aaron, relationships are built on trust. If we're going to do this, really do this, you can't keep parts of your life hidden from me. I know, you're right. Aaron reached across the table and Petra let him take her hand. I promise, no more secrets, ask me anything. How different is your life from what I've seen? Aaron took a breath. Very different. I have a penthouse downtown. I travel constantly for work. There are security concerns, board meetings, constant demands on my time. I have staff who manage my schedule, my properties, my life. But none of that matters as much as you do. I'm a middle school art teacher, Aaron. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I buy my clothes at Target. Our worlds are completely different. They don't have to be. I don't need you to change. I fell for exactly who you are. But can we make this work, really? Petra asked. I think we can if we both want to, and I want to, Petra, more than I've wanted anything in a long time. Petra studied his face, seeing the vulnerability there, the hope. I want to try, but slowly. You need to let me into all parts of your life, not just the parts that fit into mine. Deal. Aaron smiled, the genuine smile she had fallen for at the farmer's market. Can I take you somewhere tomorrow? I want to show you something. The next day, Aaron picked her up in a car that probably cost more than her annual salary, driven by a professional driver. Petra felt underdressed in her jeans and sweater, but Aaron, in similar casual clothes, squeezed her hand reassuringly. They drove to a building on the outskirts of the city, modern and gleaming with solar panels covering every surface. Inside, Aaron led her through halls filled with engineers and designers, all working on various renewable energy projects. This is what I actually do, Aaron explained. We develop affordable solar technology for low-income communities, battery systems that can power small villages, training programs for people to install and maintain renewable energy systems. Petra watched him interact with his employees, saw the passion in his face as he explained a new project to provide free solar panels to schools in underserved areas. We just partnered with an organization that brings art programs to those same schools, Aaron said. I thought maybe you'd want to be involved, help design some of the programming. Really? Petra felt her excitement building. Really? Your expertise, your passion for teaching, it could make a real difference. They spent hours at the facility and Petra met Aaron's team. People who clearly respected him, but also seemed to genuinely like him. She saw another side of the man she had fallen for, the driven businessman who was using his wealth and power to try to make the world better. On the drive back, Petra leaned against Aaron's shoulder. "Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for giving me another chance." Their relationship shifted after that, deepening in ways Petra hadn't expected. Aaron introduced her to parts of his world gradually. A charity gala where Petra wore a dress Aaron had carefully selected with her input. Nothing too flashy but elegant. A weekend at his family's lake house where they spent more time swimming and laughing than worrying about money. Petra introduced Aaron to her family at her sister's birthday party, and he charmed her parents by helping her dad fix a leaky faucet and asking her mother about her garden. Her siblings teased her mercilessly about dating a billionaire, but Aaron took it in stride, even joining in the jokes. "He's good for you," Petra's mother said, pulling her aside. "I haven't seen you this happy in years." "He makes me want to be brave," Petra admitted, "to think bigger about what I want from life." As fall turned to winter, Petra and Aaron settled into a rhythm. They split their time between her cozy apartment and his penthouse, though Aaron admitted he preferred her place. "It feels like a home," he explained one evening as they cooked dinner together in her tiny kitchen. "My place is just where I sleep." "So make it a home," Petra suggested. "Fill it with things that matter to you." Aaron pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "You matter to me." The first time Aaron said he loved her was unremarkable in setting but perfect in timing. They were at the farmer's market back where they had met, arguing playfully over which apples to buy. "I love you," Aaron said suddenly, setting down the Honeycrisp he had been examining. "I love your passion and your kindness and the way you see beauty in everything. I love how you make me want to be better. I love you, Petra." Petra felt tears spring to her eyes. "I love you too, even though you still can't pick out a ripe avocado to save your life." Aaron laughed, pulling her into a kiss that earned a few smiles from nearby shoppers. Months passed, their relationship growing stronger. Petra got more involved with Aaron's company's educational initiatives, designing art curriculum for the schools they partnered with. Aaron started taking more time away from work, prioritizing their relationship in a way he had never done before. They traveled together when Aaron's business required it, and Petra saw parts of the world she had only dreamed of, but her favorite moments were still the quiet ones. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, cooking dinner together. Aaron sitting at her kitchen table grading papers with her, even though he didn't have to. "Move in with me," Aaron said one evening. They were at his penthouse, and he had spent the last month slowly making it feel more like the home Petra had encouraged. There were plants now and art on the walls and comfortable furniture that invited actually sitting and relaxing. "Are you sure?" Petra asked. "I've never been more sure of anything. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to come home to you every night. I want this to be our space, not just mine." Petra looked around the penthouse, seeing not the expensive furnishings but the touches that made it theirs. Photos of them together. The ridiculous ceramic bowl she had made in a pottery class that Aaron displayed like it was fine art. The bookshelf that now held both business journals and art history texts. "Yes," she said. "Let's do it." Moving in together was an adjustment. Petra had to get used to having staff, though Aaron was quick to give them more time off so they could have privacy. Aaron had to get used to sharing his space, though he found he loved the chaos Petra brought with her art supplies and the way she left books everywhere. They hosted dinner parties, blending their friend groups. They adopted a dog from a shelter, a mutt named Picasso who Aaron pretended to be stern with but actually spoiled shamelessly. They built a life together that felt both extraordinary and wonderfully ordinary. On a Saturday morning, exactly 1 year after they had met, Aaron took Petra back to the farmer's market. They walked through the familiar stalls, greeting vendors they had come to know well. "Remember when we reached for the same strawberries?" Aaron asked. "Best accident of my life," Petra replied. Aaron stopped at a quiet corner of the market, near the flower stand where he had bought her sunflowers on their first meeting. He reached into his pocket, and Petra's breath caught as he pulled out a small velvet box. "Petra Daniels, you changed my entire world the moment I met you. You taught me what really matters in life. You made me remember how to be just a person, not just a businessman. You filled my life with color and laughter and love." Aaron opened the box, revealing a stunning but tasteful ring. "Will you marry me?" Petra was crying now, nodding before she could find words. "Yes, yes, of course yes." Aaron slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her as the flower vendor and a few nearby shoppers applauded. The ring was perfect, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, unique and artistic just like Petra herself. They were married 6 months later in a ceremony that perfectly blended their two worlds. The venue was elegant but not ostentatious, filled with flowers from the farmer's market and art created by Petra's students. Petra's family mixed seamlessly with Aaron's business associates, and the speeches ranged from heartfelt to hilarious. "To finding love in unexpected places," Aaron toasted during the reception, his eyes never leaving Petra. "And to the woman who taught me that the best things in life can't be bought, only cherished." Petra stood beside him, radiant in a dress she had helped design, incorporating elements of her artistic sensibility. "To the man who reached for the same strawberries and ended up reaching for my heart." Their honeymoon was spent traveling, but not to exotic resorts. They visited the communities where Aaron's company had installed solar panels, and Petra taught art classes to children who lit up at the chance to create. It was unconventional but perfect for them, combining their passions and making a difference together. When they returned, they started talking seriously about the future they both wanted. Petra continued teaching, though she also took on a more official role with Aaron's company's educational foundation. Aaron restructured his schedule to be more present, delegating more to his capable team so he could prioritize his marriage. 2 years after their wedding, Petra told Aaron she was pregnant. They were in their home, the penthouse that had truly become theirs, filled with life and love and the beautiful chaos Petra had promised from the beginning. "We're having a baby." Aaron's face was a mixture of joy and terror. "We're having a baby," Petra confirmed, laughing at his expression. Aaron picked her up and spun her around carefully, mindfully setting her down quickly. "I'm going to be a dad. I'm actually going to be a dad. You're going to be an amazing dad," Petra assured him. Their daughter, Emma, was born on a spring morning, and Aaron cried when he held her for the first time. Petra watched the man she loved cradle their tiny baby and felt her heart expand in ways she hadn't known possible. "She's perfect," Aaron whispered. "You're both perfect." Parenthood brought new challenges and joys. Aaron was hands-on in ways that surprised even him, changing diapers and walking the floor with Emma at night. Petra found a rhythm between motherhood and her work, bringing Emma to the office sometimes and teaching her students about art even as she navigated her new role. When Emma was 18 months old, Petra discovered she was pregnant again. Their son, James, joined the family on a winter evening, and suddenly their home was filled with the noise and energy of 2 young children. "This is what I always wanted," Aaron said one evening. They were on the couch, Emma asleep against his chest and James nursing while Petra leaned against Aaron's shoulder. Picasso was sprawled at their feet. "This chaos, this love, this family, me too," Petra said softly. "Though I could use a nap." Aaron laughed quietly, careful not to wake Emma. "How about I take the morning shift tomorrow and you sleep in? You have that board meeting. It can wait. You're more important. They're more important." He kissed the top of her head. "Everything I've built means nothing if I'm not present for this." As the children grew, Aaron and Petra made sure to keep their own relationship strong. Date nights were sacred, even if they were often just dinner at home after the kids were asleep. They still visited the farmers' market when they could, now with Emma and James in tow, teaching them about fresh food and supporting local farmers. Emma showed an early interest in both art and science, spending hours drawing designs for solar panels and asking questions that made both her parents laugh. James was quieter, more observant, but with a deep well of empathy that reminded Petra of Aaron at his best. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Aaron surprised Petra with something she had mentioned once, years ago. A small art studio in the building, just for her, where she could create without worrying about little hands getting into supplies. "You didn't have to do this," Petra said, tears in her eyes as she looked at the space filled with canvases and paints and everything she needed. "I wanted to. You give so much to everyone else. You deserve a space that's just yours." Petra pulled him close, kissing him deeply. "Thank you. For this, for everything, for giving me the life I dreamed of." "Thank you for teaching me what really matters," Aaron replied. "For seeing past the money and the business to the person I wanted to be." They stood in the studio, holding each other, and Petra thought back to that morning at the farmer's market, the strawberries that had brought them together, the simple moment that had changed everything. "You ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't reached for the same container?" Petra asked. "All the time," Aaron admitted, "and then I'm grateful every single day that we did, that you gave me a chance, that you loved me even after learning the truth about who I am." "I love you because of who you are," Petra corrected. "All of you. The billionaire and the guy who burns pasta, and the father who reads bedtime stories in funny voices, and the man who still buys me flowers from the farmer's market." "I love you," Aaron said simply. "My artist, my wife, my everything." Years continued to pass in a blur of school plays and business expansions, family vacations and quiet evenings at home. Emma and James grew into remarkable young people, shaped by parents who showed them that wealth was a responsibility, not just a privilege. They volunteered at the schools their father's company supported. They spent summers helping their mother teach art classes. They learned that love and family mattered more than money or status. On a Saturday morning, 20 years after Aaron and Petra had first met, they returned to the farmer's market. Their hair showed touches of gray now, and they moved with the comfortable ease of a couple who had built a lifetime together. The strawberry vendor was still there, older but still friendly. "The usual for you too, please," Petra said, smiling. She turned to Aaron. "Remember when we both reached for the same container? How could I forget? It was the moment my real life began." Aaron picked up the strawberries, then grabbed a second container. "But this time, let's get two. I don't like sharing with you anymore." Petra laughed, the sound as bright and genuine as it had been 2 decades earlier. "Liar, you share everything with me." "That's true," Aaron admitted, pulling her close for a kiss. "And I wouldn't have it any other way." They walked through the market hand in hand, occasionally running into people they knew, Petra's former students, now adults with families of their own. Employees from Aaron's company, out enjoying their weekends. Friends they had made over the years in their community. Later, at home with their children visiting for Sunday dinner, Petra stood in the kitchen preparing food with Emma while Aaron and James grilled outside. She looked through the window at her husband, still handsome, still making her heart skip after all these years. "You two are disgustingly in love," Emma teased. "You know that, right? Completely disgusting," Petra agreed happily. "And I hope you find the same thing someday." "I want what you and Dad have," Emma said seriously. "That partnership, that friendship, that deep love, you guys make it look easy." "It's not always easy," Petra said honestly, "but it's always worth it. Your father and I, we choose each other every single day, that's the secret." That evening, after the children had gone back to their own homes and the dishes were done, Petra and Aaron sat on their balcony watching the city lights. Picasso had passed years ago, but their new dog, Monet, lay at their feet. "Do you have any regrets?" Aaron asked, his arm around Petra's shoulders. "Not a single one," Petra said. You? Only that I didn't buy you those strawberries immediately and ask you out right then. I could have had a few extra hours with you. Petra laughed, nestling closer to him. We have the rest of our lives. That's more than enough time. The rest of our lives, Aaron repeated, liking the sound of it. Forever with you. Forever with you, Petra echoed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. Two people from different worlds, who had found each other over a container of strawberries and built something extraordinary together. A love story that had started simply and grown into something rich and deep and lasting. Aaron thought about the man he had been before Petra, driven and successful but somehow empty. And he thought about the man he was now, still driven but fulfilled in ways money could never buy. A husband, a father, a partner in every sense of the word. Petra thought about the morning she had gone to the farmer's market, expecting nothing more than fresh produce and a peaceful Saturday. She had found so much more. She had found her person, her home, her future. All because of a chance encounter and the willingness to take a risk on someone new. Thank you, Aaron said suddenly. For what? For seeing me, for loving me, for building this beautiful life with me. He turned to her, his eyes reflecting the city lights and something deeper, the love of decades. You're still the best thing that ever happened to me, Petra Vaughn. And you're still the man who couldn't pick out vegetables, Petra teased, then softened. Who became the man who picks out my favorite flowers without asking? Who knows how I take my coffee and which students I'm worried about? Who built me an art studio and builds me up every single day? I love you, Aaron Vaughn. Today, tomorrow, always. They kissed, soft and sweet and full of promise, just as they had that first night under the street lamp. Some things never changed, even as everything else did. The spark between them, the fundamental rightness of being together, the sense that they were exactly where they were meant to be, inside, Aaron's phone buzzed with work emails and meeting requests. Petra's calendar was filled with classes to teach and art to create. But out here in this moment, they were simply Aaron and Petra. Two people who had fallen in love at a farmer's market and had spent every day since choosing each other, building a family, creating a life that was rich in all the ways that truly mattered. The billionaire who had been shopping for strawberries had found something infinitely more precious. And he had spent every day since making sure Petra knew she was cherished, valued, loved beyond measure. He hadn't just shopped for her that day at the market. He had chosen to shop for her happiness, her dreams, her heart for the rest of his life. And that, Petra thought as she leaned against her husband under the stars, was the greatest love story of all.